Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are exploring the wonderful world of Starfield chems. Now, I don't know if you've ever experimented with Starfield chems before, but the depth of this system is incredible. With chems, you can massively boost your movement speed, unlock super jumps, and even slow down time. I have not added any effects to the footage you're seeing here. This is exactly what the gameplay looks like. So let's dive into the video and see what chems you need to take in order to get these powers for yourself, and I'll also show you a cheeky way to boost your chems even further. But before we do, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying my videos so you don't miss another one. Let's go. So the first chem I recommend taking in Starfield is Frostwolf. Frostwolf gives you a huge plus 50% movement speed for 2 minutes, as well as plus 40% damage for 2 minutes, and minus 50% movement noise for 2 minutes. So not only will you be zipping around like a ninja, but nobody will hear you coming. To craft Frostwolf, you need to head to a pharmaceutical lab. You can construct one of these pharmaceutical labs in your outpost. Or alternatively, there is one in the headquarters of Constellation, which is on New Atlantis. Once at a pharmaceutical lab, you just need the following materials: 1 tetrafluoride, 1 reckon stim, and 1 whiteout. The first two are easy enough to come by, and you can buy them at most vendors as well. The third one, however, whiteout, that is a little trickier. It's a bit rarer, and to craft whiteout you need toxin times 3, stimulant times 1, and squall times 2, which means ultimately to craft Frostwolf you basically need 6 different crafting materials in total, and of all of these 6, squall is by far the rarest. You can actually take squall on its own to get plus 20% movement speed for 2 minutes and an additional plus 20% damage for 2 minutes, but in my opinion, you might as well save up all your squall and use that to craft Frostwolf, which more than doubles your movement speed to plus 50. As well as all of this, you also need a research node unlocked to craft Frostwolf. This is called Performance Enhancement 3, and you can level up at a research lab. All of this makes Frostwolf more of a late game build for more advanced players, so you won't really have access to this right from the start. When you do though, I definitely recommend trying this out. As you can see, it's a lot of fun. The reason I like Frostwolf so much is because movement speed is one of the most underrated attributes in the game. Locations are so big that the bulk of the time you spend doing anything in Starfield is simply getting from one place to another. If you have plus 50% movement speed, you'll get there 1.5 times quicker. So it's basically like going on a YouTube video and hitting the 1.5 times button. That's how fast you'll be traveling. It's taken me up until now to experiment with the drug system in this game, but there is nothing else that lets you boost your movement speed as much as Frostwolf, and plus there are obviously no land vehicles and no mounts, so having the ability to speed up your movement massively changes the game. Not only for exploration, but combat as well. You can also buy squall from the Trade Authority on Cydonia, or from Marcel in the Den. If you are looking for another chem that boosts movement speed in addition to Frostwolf, however, there is one other chem that matches Frostwolf's speed of plus 50%, and that is Red Amp. But along with the 50% movement speed bonus, it also unlocks 50% plus melee damage, doubles your jump height, and adds 400 plus damage resistance. So you might actually find it even more useful than Frostwolf, depending on, of course, what you need out of it. To craft Red Amp, you need 2 mercury, 1 red trench, and 1 amp. Mercury can be bought at vendors, but red trench and amps do require you to craft them. That's as far as I know, but do let me know if you found them at any vendors. So like with Frostwolf, you might have to craft some of the ingredients, then use those ingredients to craft the end result. So it can be a bit convoluted, but in my experience, the red amp ingredients are slightly easier to come by, so it is a bit more straightforward to craft. What you might end up doing is using amps for exploring places where there's no life, due to it not having the same combat benefits, and saving your squall and Frostwolf for places where there is life and where you're going to be coming up against enemies, and that is due to that 40% damage increase. Now let's talk about about the ways to optimize all of this chem taking. One unlockable trait does help you get more crafting materials, and that is geology. Ranking up geology gets you more common and uncommon inorganic resources from surface objects. There are others that give you more resources in different areas, so for instance ranking up zoology gets you more resources from alien creatures, while botany does the same but for plants. The scavenging skill meanwhile gives you more chems when searching containers. You also might want to look into research methods. Getting this on the highest rank means that resources required to craft items and complete research projects is reduced by 60%. Which is very handy. Also, don't forget to get rank 4 in chemistry, because when you max out this skill, you occasionally triple the amount of stuff you crafted. Even without this, you just produce more Frostwolf by default, so when crafting, you actually craft 2 Frostwolf compared to 1 amp. So with rank 4 in chemistry, you will end up with way more chems than you would on rank 1. There is one way you can go the full water white route and set up an outpost specifically to farm chems, then sell those chems for credits. My favourite farm is the O2 shot farm, the O2 shot being a type of chem you can sell for thousands. To craft an O2 shot, head to a pharmaceutical lab and use metabolic agent, snake oil, and an amp. You can farm the resources that make up these 3 ingredients or just buy them straight up from vendors. But where to buy them? Shepherd's General Store in Aquila is a pretty good shout, as is the Infirmary in Aquila, which is located in the Rock. Also the Trade Authority in Neon and the Trade Authority in the Well under New Atlantis. In other words, if you don't buy snake oil, for instance, you can craft it. Snake oil requires 1 chlorine, 1 sedative, and 2 metabolic agents. These are all common organic resources harvested from planets, so look for planets with these resources, farm them, make snake oil, then make an O2 shot. Amps, meanwhile, also require common organic resources to craft, and specifically they need 2 argon, 1 toxin, and 1 metabolic agent. So again, just find a planet with these resources, craft your amp, yet then use those to craft a whole load of O2 shots. Then all you have to do is go to a vendor and sell your load of O2 shots. Each O2 shot sells for 70 credits, which is a very decent return once you've got your O2 shot farm set up, because these things just make themselves. Well, more or less. The option to craft an O2 shot isn't there for you from the start. That's because you need to first collect a skill magazine. This is called Neon Knights 3. Neon Knights 3 is located in the Celt Corp offices in the Trade Tower in Neon. So pick up that magazine and then you can unlock the ability to craft O2 shots. Another chem that's completely different to this and unlocks a totally new playstyle is Aurora, which you might have heard of before. This gives you 40% of slowdown time, although it does only last for 10 seconds. It is contraband as well, so you will get confiscated if you fail a scan, and it is also pretty hard to find. I guess the devs didn't want you to break the game by letting you just hoard a bunch of it and just playing through the whole game on 0.5 speed. But the best time slowing chem in the whole game, in my opinion, is a chem called Steve. This adds 40% range damage for 10 seconds on top, and a plus 50% weapon accuracy for 10 seconds. As you can imagine, this costs quite a lot to craft, so you'll need 1 uranium, 1 panopticon, and 1 aurora. Do all of that though and get all that together and you will be able to craft Steve, a powerful cocktail that dilutes your perception of time and improves hand-eye coordination. So here's some gameplay of that. Chem builds are actually really fun in this game and something that I've only really started experimenting with. If we're talking faster movement speed, that is everything for exploration. Or if we're talking specifically combat, having 10 seconds of slowdown time can feel like you're using VATS in another Bethesda game, Fallout. So you can pretty much dodge bullets and style on enemies who can barely react. A more recent example it also reminds me of is Cyberpunk, you know, when you're playing with all your time slowing implants. Just remember that taking all these chems will get you addicted, and that will have some negative impacts on your stats, such as reduced carry capacity and reduced O2 levels. This also means you'll need to regularly regularly take a chem called Junk Flush, which cures you of your worrying dependency on dangerous space chemicals. So those were my favourite chems in Starfield and how to get your hands on them. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider supporting this channel over on patreon.com/gaming with Griffin. Remember to subscribe to the channel by hitting that subscribe button, and I will see you soon.